Hey guys, what's up? It's Kyle here. I'm going to do another video. I want to talk about wrestling fans. I did a video about like this, talking about the problems of WWE, and one of the themes were wrestling fans, but I really didn't expound upon it as much as I like to because I talked about multiple things. Um, but I want to expound upon this a little bit more. One of the things I think that's for everything wrong that you could say that maybe WWE does. Um, or what sucks about the wrestling business today. I think a good chunk of that, I think fans have had to take a blame for that too. Um, I'm not coming here as a WWE fanboy or WWE apologist. I'm coming here as a wrestling fan. I like and watch all wrestling, whether that be WWE, TNA, ROH, NXT, Lucha Underground, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor. I see it all. I watch it all because I'm a wrestling fan. And but as WWE are the monopoly of the wrestling world, this is mostly specifically talking about them. One of the biggest problems I think the wrestling fans have is that they complain way, way too much. And I really think, in an environment like professional wrestling where it is predetermined, excuse me, when you critique and analyze everything to the finest detail, and you're so critical and so judgmental about everything, wrestling's not enjoyable. It's not. Now, I have, plenty of videos I've done in times past, and I will still, um, you know, critique or give my criticism where it's needed. But I find out that, when you overanalyze, you overthink things with the WWE, the product's not that enjoyable. Now, granted, they're not making the most compelling television. Raw is not much watch TV. It's not must watch. That 3 hours is a drag. SmackDown is a much easier and enjoyable show to watch. However, I do think they're getting out of hands with this James Ellsworth thing, but that'll be another video for another topic, a different day. So I get that the WWE product is not must watch and is heavily warrants its criticism and it warrants its critics. However, there are a couple of few bright spots here and there, and it's just like wrestling fans just complain way too much. And I kind of want to go back to use the Goldberg Brock Lesnar thing, as an example. You know, so many people were angry and pissed off that Goldberg beat Brock Lesnar in the fashion that he did, and people were like, this sucks. This main event was trash. This main event was horrible. Even Diamond Dallas Page himself said on his Twitter that the true main event was the SmackDown versus Raw elimination tag. That was the true main event. Let's be honest. And some people said that match should have main event and the Goldberg Brock shouldn't have. Let's be honest. Excuse me. If the SmackDown versus Raw tag match would have main evented Survivor Series and ended Survivor Series, nobody would really be talking about it. But because you had Goldberg and Brock main evented and it ended the way it did, people are talking. We're 1 week removed from that pay per view, and wrestling fans, from the internet to wrestling podcasts, people within the wrestling business that have their own podcasts, they're still talking about that main event and how it ended. They're still talking. So WWE did it. That lets you know they did a good job, whether you like it or not. They got a reaction out of you. They got a shock value, and in a time where everything is very predictable in WWE and everything gets kind of stale, I thought it was a good move. I thought it was great. Goldberg looked like $1 million, and it was the right move for them to book it the way they did. It was a nice surprise, and that's something that we desperately need, and that we don't have anymore in the wrestling world. Because let's be honest, if Goldberg, the same people that bitched about Goldberg and Brock and how it ended at the pay per view last week, if Goldberg Brock would have done a 12, 15-minute main event match, those same wrestling fans would bitch about that too. Because let's be honest, on paper, you look at the facts, Goldberg being past his prime, 12 years, ring rust, his limitations within the ring, add that with Brock's limitations himself within the ring. Both Brock and Goldberg, their limitations, on paper, that sounds like a fucking car crash. And not a good one. And not an enjoyable one at that. So if Brock and Goldberg had gone that 10, 12, 15-minute main event type of match, going into it, knowing how both men are, what they're both limited to in ring wise, that match would have been a car crash. And those fans would have bitched and complained and were like, oh, this match was worse than the WrestleMania Mania match. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have it end the way it did last week at the pay-per-view than for them to have a fucking car crash knowing both men are very limited within the ring, going 10 or 15 minutes. That's just me. This need of wrestling fans always wanting to be a part of the show and want to hijack the show. I've literally have seen wrestling fans on the internet that say, well, hey, I have a right to come to these shows with my hard-earned money and to cheer for whoever I want to cheer and boo for whoever I want to boo. Absolutely correct. You do have the right to cheer who you want and boo if you want to boo. If WWE wants to force Roman Reigns down your throat and you don't like Roman Reigns, you don't have to cheer for him. You have the right to do that. However, there are these particular small crowds, this little cult within the wrestling community that will literally want to pay their hard-earned money to go and hijack the show. And I've seen the comments. I've seen it before from Facebook, from the 434, Team Awesome, all these different wrestling forums on Facebook and whatnot. I've read in the fans, they literally say, I have a right to hijack Monday Night Raw and hijack the show. And you sit there and you think to yourself, you are a fucking fool. You are a fucking fool. Who would pay their hard-earned money, hundreds of dollars, to hijack a show? You're an idiot for a wrestling fan for even making that type of statement. Because at the end of the day, you just made Vince McMahon a rich man. You lined his wallets with your pocket. And you're still unhappy. So who won here? This is what I understand. I'm gonna pay my hard-earned money vocally, try to hijack Monday Night Raw or hijack a show in WWE to show Vince McMahon I'm not pleased. You think he literally gives a damn? It doesn't matter. Because guess what? He's still gonna do what the fuck he wants to do. So you're still gonna be an unhappy fan. And he's already made money off of you because you paid your hard-earned money to come there to try to hijack the show. That makes absolutely no sense. You've lost the battle before it even began. So I don't get this notion of wrestling fans wanting to take over the show and want to be a part of the. You can be a part of the show, cheer, chant, whatever. But there are fans that will literally just, and when you watch it from the television, it's like after a while it gets annoying. I understand that making your vocal opinion, or your displeasement of the product or how they may be doing things, but when it's on every Monday night show, when it's pretty much almost every other match where fans are just booing and everything else, it takes away from the product and it's annoying. It's like instead of you having your annoyance towards, a Roman Reigns being forced down your throat or whatnot, that attention is redirected and your anger is jagged towards the fans now. Because it's like, okay, you guys are the heels that I should be hating and booing. At the end of the day, WWE are going to do what the fuck WWE are going to want to do. They're not going to listen to the fans. Periodically, they will cater to, the fans and do what fans would like. But at its core, it ain't often that they're going to do that. At the end of the day, WWE are still going to do what the fuck that they want to do. If you want to make a dent, if you want to make your voices heard, a vocal opinion to WWE, don't say anything at all. Stop coming to their live events. Stop buying their products. Stop watching their television. Let their ratings drop, which they already are. Stop being subscribed to the WWE Network. Until you stop doing all those things, until you begin to cut WWE's livelihood, which is that grain, that money. Once you cut their revenue off and you stop paying into the product by any means necessary, whatever it may be, then that's when WWE are going to listen. But until you stop doing that, they're going to ignore you and roll with the punches and keep doing what they've been doing. So I don't understand the idiotic wrestling fans, the small minority, that does this. Another thing on the topic of Roman Reigns, I find it very hilarious to me how wrestling fans, um, it's one thing to be critique, but then now it's just like Roman Reigns now, he's the new thing to hate. You know, he's becoming the new John Cena, and not the new John Cena in terms of him being the next face of the company or whatnot, but he's the new anointed chosen one that fans must now boo and display their dislike towards. Um, because this is how it's funny. You go back, Roman Reigns cut a promo on Sheamus, about a year ago. We called Sheamus Tater Tots. Wrestling fans tore Roman Reigns a new asshole, saying Roman Reigns sucks. This promo is horrible. Who the fuck comes up with it? This is why Roman Reigns is trash, because he can't talk on the mic. Now, Roman Reigns is not God on the microphone, by no means necessary. He should keep quiet. He should keep his words very limited, short, and few. And that was a terrible promo line that he cut, saying tater tots. However, it wasn't too long ago that Mr. the Architect, Seth Rollins, cut a promo on Chris Jericho, calling him Sparkle Crotch. And he didn't just say it once, but he said it multiple times in the promo. Nobody said a word about Seth Rollins calling Chris Jericho Sparkle Crouch. I didn't hear any wrestling fan comment saying this was cheesy, that promo was horrible, that sucked. It's just interesting. If Roman Reigns would have called Chris Jericho Sparkle Crouch, you bet your bottom dollar wrestling fans would have tore Roman Reigns a new ass just because it was Roman Reigns. But because Rollins said it, I didn't hear a word, didn't hear a peep. To me, Sparkle Crouch is just as corny, cornballish, and idiotic as tater tots. What's the difference? The difference is who says it, and the fans are being biased, and they just pick the guy, just don't like the guy because they just don't like him. People bitch about Roman Reigns is in the main event too much. He shouldn't be in the main event. Okay, Roman Reigns had the suspension, and Roman Reigns is slowly going to creep back in the main event. I mean, it's already been leaked out anyway. He's going to have a title match with Owens at their December pay-per-view Roadblock, but Roman Reigns is slowly creeping back up into that main event, saying slowly but surely. However, when he had Roman Reigns was out of the picture for a good about 3 months. But what about Seth Rollins? Ever since Seth Rollins came back from his injury, he's been in all the title pictures. He came back at Money in the Bank. He beat Roman Reigns, but lost it to the Ambrose cash-in. But then he got another title shot in the Shield Triple Threat. Then he had a title shot to crown the first ever Universal Champion at SummerSlam. Then he had the Fatal 4-Way title shot to crown a new Universal Champion after Balor got injured. Then he had another title shot at Night of Champions. Then he had another title shot at Hell in a Cell. Then he just had another title shot last week on Raw. Where are those wrestling fans that bitched about Roman being the main event, or even bitched about John Cena? Where are those wrestling fans to bitch about Seth Rollins? I have not heard not one wrestling fan complain about Seth Rollins being in the main event and getting multiple title shots. And Rollins has been in the main event title shot since July. It's now November. 5 months he's been in the main event picture, and no one's complained about it. And I love Seth Rollins. I haven't complained about it at all. I think it's been fine. Seth Rollins had some kick-ass matches. I'm liking his babyface turn. So, even though the way they kind of go about it is kind of stupid, but still, I'm just saying to say, where are those wrestling fans? Kind of goes to show you, how people just hate on Roman Reigns just to hate on him. It makes no sense to me. Roman Reigns has had some good matches. He's not as green as he once was. And I think a lot of people just hate on him just because he is, the new chosen one, so to speak. At the end of the day, it's like how Kevin Nash says, and I agree with him 100%. I've said it plenty of times in wrestling videos. Wrestling fans are fickle. They're very, very fickle. They're fickle, and I think there's this entitlement of wrestling fans that they feel like that they need to have. We know the business, so in which WWE has not made it really. Kayfabe is dead. WWE has not done a perfect job. They've unveiled the curtain and have let everyone know what's going on within the business. So But still, there's this thing that wrestling fans have now, where they like, hey, it's just we have the internet and we have access to these things, and we know we're entitled to do these things, and I just think it's annoying. Wrestling fans of this generation, they complain a lot, they feel entitled, and they're now getting they're annoying. I think wrestling fans now are becoming just as much of a problem of what's going on within WWE than just WWE themselves. And WWE has a lot to blame as to why fans are the way they are. But I do think fans also are a big problem as well. A contributing factor as to why WWE is the way they are. And they're a problem too. And I think they have to hold some of the blame as well. So I just want to get my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment box below. Comment, subscribe. Peace.